Hey guys, just want to go over some basic electrical theory. There's some better videos out there that go more in depth. I posted one on the group chat last week from Electrician U. He has YouTube videos, he has a podcast. There's also some really great videos and podcasts from Brian Orr. His podcast is called HVAC School. They go more in depth, give you a better understanding. I recommend checking those out. Also, just reading up on it. Just reading an article will may help you understand it more than just listening to somebody talk. But I wanted, for those that aren't going to check out videos or aren't going to go research it on their own, I just wanted to give a quick overview of it, just to have a basic understanding for us in the field. So we'll go over voltage, amps, and ohms. We'll go over voltage first, but as you can see in the picture, they all have a relationship to each other. That's basically what Ohm's law is. So with voltage, the way I like to think of it is think of it as water. And it's not the perfect way to think of it because once you get into higher level stuff, it stops. You can't really use water as an example. But for this, it works good. So voltage, I like to think of as water pressure. So you have two different pipes of water or hoses, but one has very high pressure and one has very low pressure. The low pressure is going to be lower voltage, and the high pressure hose, let's think of it as like a higher voltage. Let's think of the low voltage hoses, or the low pressure hose would being 120, and the higher voltage or the higher pressure hose would be like 240. Another way of thinking of it is you have two hoses, same size, same amount of water coming through, but you put a sprayer nozzle on it and all of a sudden the pressure goes up. That would be like the voltage going up. Now, next we'll go on to amperage, or current is another way you'll hear people refer to it as. Amperage is, it's not the pressure, so it's not, if we're following the same comparison to water, voltage being the water pressure, amperage would be more like the overall quantity of the water, the overall volume of the water. So say you have two hoses, but one is a bigger diameter. It's going to let more volume, more current go through, and so you're going to get more quantity of water. That's going to be a higher amperage. So bigger hose, higher amperage. Here's just another picture to kind of explain, thinking of it as water. And then just to summarize again, so voltage is like the water pressure. Amperage is like the quantity or the volume of water, the total amount of water that you're getting. Resistance, or ohms, is much like what the picture shows. You're adding an obstruction in the way of your voltage and your amperage. So if you think about it, kind of like this picture, you got two pipes and it's filling a trough. You have this big pipe with low resistance, you're going to get a lot more quantity of water. And then you have this smaller pipe, you're going to get a lower volume of water, so lower amperage. But also, another way of thinking of it is if you have a stream of water and this little stream or creek is filling a little pool at the bottom. if you already take a shovel and you start throwing rocks and dirt in that stream, in that creek, eventually it's going to obstruct the path, right? So now you're going to get less water going to that pool. So you're going to get less amperage and you're going to get less voltage. And why do we care about this? So in the real world, one way that would make sense to us is if you're troubleshooting a circuit that's maybe having intermittent problems, maybe it's losing voltage sometimes, breakers tripping, something like that. So you go to the panel and you check from your hot coming out of your breaker to your neutral bar. So you put one lead on your hot wire coming out. Let's just say it's 120. And you put your other lead on your neutral and you're getting 120 volts across. But then let's say you press on the breaker and you kind of just move it, or you shake, or you grab the wire and you manually shake it or move it, pull on it. And all of a sudden you see your voltage drop down. Maybe it goes to like 73 volts or it just disappears on your meter. That's an example of resistance. Same thing if you were to put your amp clamp on it, you might see a drop in current if you were to put your amp clamp on that wire coming out of the breaker. And what that is, what you're seeing is resistance. So maybe that terminal screw is loose where it's clamped onto the wire. So when you pull on it, you're creating a little gap. And now all of a sudden the electricity went from having a clear path to having to jump this gap. That would be a form of resistance. Or it could be that the connection where the breaker connects to your bar on the panel is loose, or maybe it's old and it's not getting good contact, so you're getting resistance there. It could be if you're troubleshooting another circuit and you're losing amperage, it could be from a wire that's just gotten loose inside of a wire nut. So basically that's resistance, how we would see it in the field, and that's how it matters to us and how we would use it to troubleshoot things. Another example would be you're getting a switch that keeps going bad, keeps burning up, but it's rated for the amperage that you're supposed to be getting on that circuit. But for some reason, something's causing that switch to burn out over and over again. You keep replacing it, it just keeps doing that. Well, it could be that connector is loose. So maybe the connector is what needs to be replaced. It's causing resistance, which is causing heat, and it's causing that switch to burn up. One way that sometimes I test those things is I'll disconnect the switch and I'll check my resistance across the switch. Then I'll take the switch off and check the circuit just between say it's going to like a heating element. I'll check from the heating element all through from that heating element to the wire and see what my resistance is. Then I'll slowly isolate it. I'll disconnect the heating element, disconnect the switch, and only check the wires going between them and check that resistance. And just kind of helps you troubleshoot sometimes. Usually you're going to find that with your eyes, you're going to find a loose connection or something. But sometimes it's not that simple, and you can use resistance to help you in troubleshooting. Find out where you're getting more resistance in the circuit and isolate it. So hopefully that helps someone understand basic electrical theory and how it applies to us. Thanks, guys.